All right, guys, it's about that time again where card prices are too damn high, all right?
I represent the rent is too damn high party.
So we're gonna be talking about our 5 top budget picks for this format post-BODE, as well as a kind of a special mention, all right? As always, if you guys agree or disagree with anything that I say in this video, leave a comment down below. And as always, subscribe, like, and comment, hit that notification bell to join the squad, and share this video so your friends can also enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! Also, we just released a brand new Sword Soul X One Piece Iris and Yamato 2-player cloth super soft playmat, and you can get these as a bundle with the Field Center as well. I'll have it up on the screen for you right now. You can head over to HeadtoHeadBattles.com. This is your best way to support us as a channel, and you get something really dope in return. Okay, so the first deck on my list is actually Virtual Worlds. Virtual Worlds is a deck that I really enjoy, like thoroughly enjoy, and the end board is really insane, and you don't have to be playing Destroyer, Phoenix, Enforcer either. So this deck kind of is exactly the same. And luckily for you, with the Megaton reprint, you can like hollow out your deck for really cheap. Or if you're really on a budget, and I'm talking like under $100, you can definitely play with the lower rarity cards from, you know, when the set first came out, right? And in this deck, you don't really need to run Prosperities. You don't need to run like these like really expensive pod cards. The deck actually operates really well with Pot of Desires, and probably one of the more expensive cards in your deck. And the extra deck is also not as expensive because AA Divine Arsenal Zeus, I think I said that correctly first try, actually got a reprint as well as an Ultra in the Megatons, and the deck is really, really powerful, right? Even when the deck is just Chuche and Shen Shen on the field, you basically have like a pseudo Macrocosmos and a pop on your opponent's turn or your turn as well, making it really powerful. I mean, you technically had Destroyer, Phoenix, Enforcer in the form of a trap card anyway. So this deck actually, the functionality of the deck hasn't changed at all post-BODE if you're playing on a budget. And as always, you have to understand, if you're playing on a budget, you have to be realistic, but Virtual World is a deck where you can realistically play because it's a meta deck and it's really, really good, right? Like your end board can be a couple of different things, but your general end board is going to be Kaliga, Crystal Wing, Shen Shen, and Chuche. That is an insane end board, right? You don't need the addition of Phoenix Enforcer. You don't need Dragoon. Well, you do need Dragoons, but you don't need to play Dragoons. In most cases, Kaliga is definitely the better card to be playing. And this card is relatively cheap. You can make the entire main deck and the extra deck for probably under $100. And you can even probably get some rarity bumps along the way. So if you want a very, very, very meta deck to play during this format, Virtual World is definitely one of them. The next deck on my list is kind of a newer one, okay? And this deck is really, really cheap, and it kind of reminds me of how Virtual World was when they first came out, and it's Fluandereeze, the new deck. Penguin, Happy Feet, whatever you want to call it. Now you're saying, oh my god, Susu, you can't play this deck without Mega, Rise of Monarch, Rise of Bane, but yes you can, okay? The deck is really good and it's really easy to play, right? A lot of the cards other than M-Pen and Map are very, very low rarity. And to begin with, Map is probably your best card, and it's an Ultra, and it's only $3. So the Robinas are all supers, Eaglin is a super, there are some commons, but the deck is generally very, very cheap. And if you really want to get spicy with it, you can play cards like Monarch's Erupt and play like a stun variant anyways, but M-Pen generally does that for you. But because this is a tribute summoning deck, Monarch's Erupt is actually a really good spice choice that you can play in this card to make your deck even cheaper, because at that point, you don't even need an extra deck, right? But if you want to play the slightly more competitive version, you can get your Nadir Servants, the Ultras from the Megatons. The Ultra Ecclesia is also cheaper. You can definitely rarity bump that as well, but you don't have to, right? But Nadir Servant, Punishments, and Entices definitely help the skill ceiling of the deck and allow you to break apart boards and set up your own, right? The main strategy of Fluandereeze is to, you know, set up your Wind Barrier statue, as well as, I mean, it's a control-based deck, right? You want to have your punishment set, you want to have your blowout trap card set, and, you know, Fluandereeze is definitely a strategy that can definitely keep up with the meta. But I mean, obviously, if you want to play stronger cards, then you're going to need to spend a little bit more money. But luckily for you, in Eldorado Maximum Gold, Pot of Extravagance is getting a reprint. So that free draw 2, because you generally do not need your extra deck for this deck, will definitely help a lot. And Pot of Extrav, after the reprint, I'm looking at about $10 per copy. So if you set aside $30 just for the pot cards Everything else should be able to be bought for about $100. Now, for the third deck, okay? Eldlick. Eldlick is getting a lot of reprints in Eldorado, and they're getting a lot of reprints with Extrav as well in the same set, okay? Eldlick has never been cheaper to play. Ever since its first inception, the deck was insanely expensive, but after people figured out like, oh, Curse of Eldlin is probably like not the best card in this deck, and you just play like a heavier trap variant, any variant of Eldlick is very, very cheap right now. Even if you were to play to splurge a little bit and play Dogmatica Eldlick, everything got reprinted. The deck is really, really cheap, and it's really, really fun and really, really strong. If you think that budget for you is about $100, you might not be able to buy double Lord of the Heavenly Prison, Sky Prison, but this card is really, really good and will bolster your plays that much more. The whole Eldlick core can probably be bought for under like $25. So if you set aside about $50 for Lord of the Heavenly Sky Prisons and another $30 for Pot of Extravagance for your entire playset, it should probably serve you pretty well, right? Because when you are playing Lord of the Heavenly Sky Prisons along with Eldlick, they're both level 10. So you do need Lieb and Juggernaut, but those cards also got reprinted. Thank God for reprints. If Konami is doing anything well, it's hitting us with some dope reprints. The next deck on my list is freaking TriBrigade. Okay, now I know TriBrigade is a very powerful deck, but by God, is it boring to watch. But it's a powerful strategy, okay? Everything in this deck has gotten reprinted or was already really, really cheap. The only really expensive cards are unironically a super rare in the form of TriBrigade Kit, because it didn't get a reprint, but it's still not absorbent amounts of money, right? Rescue Cat was probably the most expensive card in the set, but luckily, in Maximum Gold Eldorado, it is getting a reprint, an alternate art premium gold reprint, which means the card will be about like $1 to $3 each, compared to $50 each right now, but you get my point, right? The TriBrigade strategy is really good, okay? TriBrigade Revolt has to be one of the best cards ever reprinted. That coupled with Shurag and every other like utility card it has in its strategy, TriBrigade is definitely one of the best decks in the format and definitely a safe meta pick. Now, if you're trying to like thinking about what are the meta decks going to be, right? You're looking at Sword Souls, Fluanderies, Virtual Worlds, Phantom Knights. Is TriBrigade a deck that can play up against these decks? And yes, they can. TriBrigade has a lot of utility in its extra deck, as well as a lot of cards that you can use to bolster your main deck strategies. Now, the TriBrigade core is very large, which makes it really cheap because the cards are very cheap. And the supplementary cards that you may need, again, you don't need Pot of Prosperity, you don't need Extravagance. The deck runs really well off of Pot of Desires. You can argue that, hey, I need Triple Tactics Talents or I need Forbidden Droplets to be competitive, but TriBrigade and every other deck that I'm mentioning right now, they're all decks that can run in archetype and play with their own strategies that they were meant to be played, right? Because generally, when a deck is really good in archetype and they don't need any supplementary cards to fuel their strategy, that's when you know a deck is very good. And it could be very cheap because you don't need these exorbitant levels of money to buy staple cards. Because in the meta right now, the only cards that are really expensive, other than the new Sword Soul cards, are staples. So you want to be able to pick cards that really don't need that many staples or don't need staples to begin with that are expensive. But luckily for you, Imperm got reprinted, Veilers are getting reprinted. You generally don't need Ash Blossom and Joy Spring this format, so you really don't need those cards either. So if there was ever a really good format to play on a budget, it would be right now. But be realistic, you have to understand that you might not be able to play at the highest competitive level at a YCS and above, but anything under a YCS, you should be able to take these decks and see some sort of success. And in the fifth spot, we have Scrap Dinos. Scrap Chimera is finally getting a reprint in Maximum Gold Eldorado. I just can't wait for that set. That set is gonna be insane. We're gonna be opening that set live on Twitch. So if you head over to twitch.tv/head-to-head battles and follow us on YouTube, Twitch, and join our Discord, you'll know when those box breaks go live. So Scrap Dinos, this strategy is actually a really powerful strategy and the end board is kind of insane. The only downside to this strategy is it's pretty fragile. With miscellaneous swords going to 1, the deck has some very obvious choke points, but you can definitely, you know, if you're a good player and you know the deck really well, you can definitely play around these choke points, because with the scrap engine, Dinos, even with miscellaneous to 1, don't die to only a singular hand trap, right? The scrap engine is very small, and other than, you know, drawing the golem, it doesn't add too many bricks to the deck. But unfortunately, the biggest problem with Dinos is that they do play a lot of bricks, like double Evo Pill, you draw Animadorn in multiples. The deck does play a lot of bricks, but we got that Dino DNA, all right? We never brick with that deck, and we always go in full combo. So if you want a really cool strategy that not a lot of people are expecting you to play, Scrap Dinos are definitely up there. And the deck, a lot of the cards got reprinted as well, especially the extra deck monsters like Dolka and Lagia. Those cards have been reprinted because those were generally the more expensive ones, but UCT is still one hell of a boss monster, right? Like, it's one of the best monsters ever printed, and this card will destroy the meta in the upcoming meta, simply because, you know, after you play through all the negates, or, you know, you have miscellaneous stores and miscellaneous stores goes through, they're not stopping your UCT. So just extend your hand, say GG, and tell them you got that Dino DNA. And for our honorable mention, Marincess. Now, Marincess, the entire deck is getting a huge boost in the new sets, okay? Now, Marincess generally does a lot of playing, but generally didn't really end on anything. Their field spell and their attack boosts and their buffs to their main link 4 was generally the strategy to go. But now with the new cards that are coming in for the deck, I think the deck definitely has some potential, and it's not going to be one of those decks where you do a lot but like end on nothing, because there are a lot of decks like that. And it's really sad because a lot of people think they're good, but they just don't end on anything. I'm talking about you, B-Troopers. Oh my God, 1 negate, 1 towers, the deck is cheeks. If you guys want to see that duel, I just dueled Gage a couple of days ago. Go watch that video. It was actually pretty epic. It was a really good duel. We had a lot of good laughs, and I think you'll really enjoy that video. All right, guys, I hope you really enjoyed that video. And if this video helped you at all, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment, and hit that notification bell to help us push it through the algorithm, okay? And if you guys want any really dope merch, we just released our brand new Sorcerer playmat and Field Center bundle. It is a 2-player cloth playmat with zones, and it's kind of like our best playmat ever, okay? So if you guys want to support us any further, make sure you guys head over to the merch store, linked in the description box down below, and comment down below if you agree or disagree with anything that I said, okay? We're about to hit that $20,000 subscriber mark, guys. If you guys can help us get there and get us even further, that'd be really appreciative, right? So I freaking love you guys so much, man. Thank you for watching this video. This is Susu from Head to Head Battles, signing out. What's up, guys?
If you haven't subscribed, make sure to click that button right there in the middle.
Also, if you haven't watched that video that YouTube is recommending you, it's probably crazy, all right? Go watch it. This is Susu from Head to Head Battles,
Signing out.
signing out.